Uduasha city, where the sun is a mirror and the moon a shadow. 800 years ago, the gates of death were broken by the Emperor Immortal. The 5 key bearers, however, had already unlocked them and walked right through. It is in Uduasha city they dwell. Now, the ghost field breathes next to our reality, lit by the eternal flame of the well of Udu. It is a second skin, a place where thought and will struggle against gravity and light. In other places, the dead congregate in the ghost field, but in Uduasha, the well city, the hell city, they fall straight into the flames. See its glittering districts: Kshitijpur, where the rich plot to buy the horizon; Bunda West, where the refugees of 2 different nations flock; and Pasarhandu, the vertical maze of market and murder. And here is Udepat, where the ceaseless temple resides. Its inhabitants, a family, a snake, and a god. The temple has stood since before the gods of this world were forgotten. Watch as it turns the wheels of revolution. Welcome to Desperate Attune, an actual play podcast about people who take risks so they can survive against the odds.
Hi, this is Prince with a recap of last week's episode. So, last time on Desperate Attune, we saw Joan go speak with Madison Frake and discuss with her the philosophical implications of having tasted a human being in battle. Madison Frake and Joan had a heart-to-heart about the matter at the Temple of the Hungering One, and Joan was taken to meet the interdisciplinary blasphemer Bilal Maat, who is an infernalist, a person who speaks with the fire of the well. Ecumenical exchange on various kinds of blasphemy were exchanged, and then Joan ran into Miraz on her way out, who took her to the Turtle, where she was taken from theological debate to discussions about trains, magnets, and water locks in the Imperial City, in a technical conversation with Miraz's friends, in an attempt for the both of them to feel better about what happened in the clash with the attackers of the temple. Miraz tried his best to be a good influence on Joan, but whether or not he succeeded remains to be seen. Meanwhile, Vickers returned to the temple after caring for the injured in the attack to meet with Abbas and discuss with him his past as the Viper, and learned a little bit about Abbas's past committing crimes in the city of Uduasha as a young man. Finally, Joan and Vickers had a conversation in which they discussed the cycles of violence that risk befalling the temple and how to best avoid any negative spirals. And that is where we pick up in this week's episode.
Actually, before that scene, as I look at Hardil, I'm going to flashback to have had a look through the notes, the inventory from Mr. Sam Horse's delivery.
Excellent. Yes.
Mm-hmm. This is not a long-term project. This is just a fortune roll, I think. Is
Sure. Yeah. And you've got loads of time to have done that, so it seems very reasonable. A 3 and a 2 and a 4.
Yeah. So what can I figure out that we? So is this enough for me to figure out there's something shady was going on? Is the thing.
I think for you it is. I think for because you're trained in engineering, what you can tell is that a lot of the most specialized equipment is basically what it does is it produces highly refined and very sturdy replicas of the kinds of instruments that you would find in your own workshop. Is to say that not just hammer and tongs and so on, but small machining tools, that kind of thing. And one of the things that's very suspicious about it is that this is Sparkcraft, so it's not just the kind of Iruvian steam-powered stuff that had been told to you, right? and I think the other thing that's very suspicious is you wouldn't need something that could make things of this scale if you weren't expecting to expand this operation like in a huge way and do so. Like, why would Mr. Sam Horse want to do that if he was like just trying to get like someone a job, right?
Okay.
Trying to remember what I'd said about it before. I think like I'd said basically there were machines that made other machines, right? So
Yeah.
okay, I think on a 4, what you can definitely see is that there are training manuals to teach people how to use this stuff. And that basically suggests that like they are not just going to hire, like artisans who are local, who can do the stuff. They're going to train new people, which is not at all what they said that they would be doing.
Okay. Fair enough. So I'm going to go up to him, and I think he can tell in the way that I'm kind of smiling at him that I'm like, I know something's up, ha ha ha, and I kind of go, Mr. Subramanian, it's so nice to see you. It's so nice. Listen, if you have a minute, how about we have a conversation? I find that there's nothing I like better after a sauna than a nice massage. Shall we talk?
Yeah, I think he will say, you must call me Hardil. Of course, in the Foundation, we are all siblings, are we not? And kind of looks at Fozia and says, are we not? And Fozia is like, yes, of course we are. In order to kind of put you on the back foot. And then says, suddenly a massage sounds just the thing.
Yes. And yeah, and in the Playful Turtle, you can request Golem Massage for when you need to talk about something that you don't want a human being to hear.
Another they've got massage golems. Okay.
Why not?
Sure.
It's Golem Pit.
Why not?
They were golems everywhere.
Golems for everything. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so we're going to request a golem massage, and while we're getting massaged by this golem, which yeah, how about I'm really curious to know what this golem looks like. Shall we have paint the scene? Everyone talks about something.
Let's do it. Yeah, and let's go in the opposite order to the order we did with Bilal. So Joan. Yeah, I think like actually Joan is perfect in that like she does have a very specific understanding. So Emma, tell me something about this golem that only Joan would kind of know. And even though she's not here, right? But nonetheless.
Well, of course, the animating essence is some of the best masseuses that have graced this area.
Yes, of course.
In the past decades.
Excellent. Very good. Not even in death will you be freed from the work you did in life.
It's a vocation. Excuse me.
I see. Okay. You were excused. I was gonna say something and then my brain broke. Oh yes. Klow. What is so these massages are one of the special things about them, of course, is you can't they weren't over here because they're not humans in the way that we think of humans. What is the reason that people ask for golem massages that isn't privacy?
It's because they're entirely malleable, like their hands. So like it's the perfect, like it can like spread, like it can kind of like remelt and spread over your entire back, your butt, whatever, and then kind of like cover your entire body and just give like a press all over, like wherever it needs. Perfectly calibrated for exact amount of pressure you need on each individual muscle.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, that actually does sound really good.
Yeah, one.
Yeah, I was just thinking, wow, that sounds amazing. I want one.
It's a perfectly calibrated hug.
Yes.
Are they humanoid or are they like animated weighted blankets?
I think it kind of looks like Clayface from Batman, like just gigantic arms that just mold around. I think it's like the same one giving messages to both myself and Hardil.
Of course,
standing between us, we have to kind of like look past its gigantic like bulk.
Yeah. Prince, what is the most recent innovation in massage golems that like the Playful Turtle is now advertising?
Oh, recent innovation. So these have been around for some time then, I guess, but the Playful Turtle has innovated upon them. Well, since the people of the Foundation are much less about waxwork and more about modern science, right?
Yes.
Yeah, they have electrotherapy. You can get shocks from them if you want.
Wow, so they cover you fully and then shock you? That's
Yes.
Definitely not.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's invigorating for the muscles. It's electrostimulation therapy.
Mm-hmm.
It's a whole thing. Someone built in Sparkcraft devices in it. This is not altogether safe, but it's modern and cool, so people like it. And of course, as with all modern things, it's advertised as curing everything from rheumatism to depression to what have you. Just a little electroshock therapy will do you good.
I mean, one of the first electrical devices invented were vibrators.
Yeah,
For therapy.
yes.
For therapy.
Yes,
Yeah.
this is a therapy golem that electrocutes you pleasantly.
Let's not ask for its other services.
No. I feel free to cut this because I'm about to say a very controversial thing, but like
Okay.
I genuinely know like an aunt of mine who was like had paranoid hallucinations and was definitely like living in a very tough way. Underwent electroshock therapy, and she's like 95% fine now. And like now, my uncle and my aunt are both like electroshock therapy, the best thing to ever happen to us. And I'm just
It's
like,
not completely bullshit, but yeah.
yeah, but they don't know how it works. And anyway. So
yes.
just say maybe it's
Yes.
actually fine. Maybe it's
Yes,
It's not.
electric golem time. Anyway.
Yeah, I'm having a
Yes.
great time. That's all I can say. Miraz is having a great time. Whether or not this is something we should advertise for other people to try in real life, I don't know.
We shouldn't. Yeah.
No.
So
Um,
just in case, listeners out there, if you ever come across an electric waxwork golem, don't try it. It's very
Yeah.
dangerous.
Despite
Well,
how
don't
appealing we
try
make
it.
it sound. So
Yeah,
actually,
exactly.
how about this? Maybe Aadiyat should tell us why we shouldn't try it.
Why in real life? Why
No,
we
no.
shouldn't try?
What was the last accident that happened in the Playful Turtle that, if it had happened in real life, like they would have been sued and the person would have made like millions off of
Okay, so the thought that I've had is kind of horrifying. So this thing encases you, and but the last time it completely encased a client and then did not let go, thus
Oh no. Okay.
suffocating, and also let's say the electric controls were also on, and so like very slow cooking the customer with them.
Oh my god.
It
And,
was
like,
very pleasant until it wasn't.
so maybe what it was like at some point like someone came in, like a real person came in and was like, oh, what the hell, and then managed to get the customer out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But-
Hardil knows about this. I don't, because it was very well covered
Yes.
up.
Yes, indeed. Maybe Hardil was the person who covered it up even.
Maybe Hardil was the one who ordered it to happen.
Who
Yeah,
knows?
maybe. Yes. But yes, so
It's
this is
suggested as libel. I did not suggest it.
good, because if you did, then Hardil would force you to do another favor for him in exchange for, not accusing you of libel.
Anyway, so yeah, I'm
yes.
talking to him. And I think, just a few pleasant, like, how are you? How are the kids? And so on. I don't know if he tells me anything about his personal life that is true. And, just
He does not.
Uh-huh.
And it's good that you are not a boss, because you would be able to tell that he's lying.
Yeah. No, I think I assume that, he's bullshitting, but like, I'm continuing. Because I think what I say is, I've had a think, Hardil. I've had a think. And you being the pro bono lawyer for Freya, and I've had a look at the shipping manifest that you had my family acquire for your Mr. Peter Samhorse. I've had a think, and it seems that, listen, Hardil, I'm not totally stupid. I spent a lot of my time in Dustfall, and I know a good racket when I see one. This is my move. Now he has to reply.
I think his power move is he's not going to reply. He's going to be like, if you want to try and like threaten me, you better go for it because I'm not gonna say anything.
Now, here's the thing. I'm a Sparkcraft does volunteer. I'm sure you have done your research and you know like exactly what grades I got in what courses and like what I had for every meal. From the bursars. You probably know more about me than I remember from my days, but in the Sparkrites and so on, it can be quite hard to find jobs. It can be quite hard to find funding. You need to make all these student projects. They're very expensive. Now, what tends to end up happening is that Sparkrites tend to find these budding Sparkrites. They tend to find sponsors from this and that interested group. And well, you know how Dustfall is. It's exactly how the reputation goes and all that. And oftentimes these sponsors, well, I should say 9 times out of 10, they were not the most law-abiding sorts of people, and that's just how things were. And for the most part, I have no problem with that sort of thing. Honestly, like so long as progress is happening, I don't care too much about the finer points of the law. And I've been thinking about this shipping manifest and your Mr. Peter Samhorse. And I understand wanting to keep things hush-hush. In fact, I admire it. I also admire that you're not saying anything. That's very good. It speaks to your discretion and your, I suppose, your employer or your client. I do not know. And I look at him and I see that he's still not saying anything. And I continue. Yeah, and I continue. And I want to say that from what I can tell from what he's doing with these items that he had my family acquire, it seems to be something that I would really support, like job creation, new devices, and it seems that possibly some sort of factory opening up. I think this is exactly the sort of thing Uduasha needs, and I'm going to be very bold here, Hardil. Not just because you're a fellow brother of the foundation, but it seems that we're genuinely aligned, I think. I want to work closely with Mr. Peter Samhorse through you. And what I want to do is I want to get in on this airship thing that my father-in-law is building. And from what I can tell, that is not going very well at all. And what he needs is someone to get involved who really knows, who has like new ideas, knows the local infrastructure and so on, and possibly, maybe, and I kind of like raise my hands and then have to immediately lower it as the golem presses it down instead. And maybe someone should take that off my father-in-law's hands. I don't know. Just throwing out some ideas. What do you think?
I'm not speaking as Hardil here. Sir, are you attempting to undercut your father-in-law's aeroplane, aero blimp technology by selling it to Munna?
Yes. Why not?
Great. Okay. Cool. No, just confirming that is
Cool, dope, excellent.
Uh-huh.
yes,
Why not?
absolutely. I mean, I have no. Well, what could I even say? Okay, I think this is a role. And okay, in my mind, it's desperate, but the desperate consequence here is that you will not notice that you are being had. Because what he will do is he will say yes, and you may not realize that the same duplicity that caused him to not tell you what was in these machines is the same duplicity he will turn on you again when he says yes to you now.
Okay, so the reason I'm going to slightly push back on this is that I think that there's no way in which Miraz gets what he wants in a healthy way. So I don't think this is the role. I think it's just like, I feel like from what I can tell from Hardil and what we've discussed about Munna, this is exactly what Munna would want.
Yes,
so I don't think it's a role.
100%.
It's more like we both get, Munna's like probably very excited. Maybe this was his plan all along that I'd say something like this. I don't know.
Yeah.
Who knows how many steps ahead of the game he is. I don't.
Yeah.
But like, I feel that this should be something Hardil would be excited about unless he has like different opinions to Munna. And that should be bad for me.
Yeah. So the reason I think it's a role is not because I think there is any risk of him saying yes.
Mhm.
The risk here is genuinely Miraz not realizing what a terrible position he's put himself in. But if you say that like
Yeah.
he's never going to realize that anyway,
Yeah.
then that's totally fine.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
I think in that case,
Yeah, he thinks
Hardil-
he's dealing with some sort of like, sly capitalist man who's probably like under the radar. Mr. Peter Samhorse is clearly not his real name. It's probably something else that sounds like currency. Like he has no idea what he's really dealing with, but he thinks he does.
Yeah.
That's good enough for him.
Yeah. Fair. In that case, I think what Hardil will say is, oh my, I had not realized I was dealing with someone of such impeccable wisdom. I will admit I did not bother informing the rest of your family and your crew, especially not Freya. I'm afraid that she is somewhat unreliable. But I should have known nothing could get past you.
Oh, we're very observant, us Sparkrites.
Yes, I have found that. I think that this is an incredibly well-timed opportunity. And your father-in-law, that would be Archibald Ashcroft, yes?
Oh, Hardil, surely we're past the point where you ask me questions that we all know you know the answers to.
And I think Hardil laughs and says, some courtesies should be observed, but of course, Brother Miraz, I will refrain then. The fact is that Lord Ashcroft is currently engaged with one Begum Boshundara, someone that I understand you have some connection to. And it would, I think, fill both you and I with great joy and delight to see that opportunity not just taken away from Lord Ashcroft, but from the enemy of your temple as well.
Mhm.
Now, I did earlier offer to take the Begum off your hands entirely. I understand that you wish to remain independent, move in your own directions, but nevertheless, I think that if we collaborate, ensure that the airship leaves the control, at least in fact, even if not in theory, of Lord Ashcroft and the Begum, we will both benefit.
So, before I respond here, I'm going to go out of character to ask the guys, like, are we okay with Hardil / Munna just taking care of the Begum Bushandara problem for us?
Yeah, I am. We haven't done anything about it, and Vickers doesn't even know it exists. So for me, it's not
Yeah.
a problem. But everyone else, what's your opinion?
Agreed, honestly.
I think, yeah, Abbas also agrees because I think he's got other things on his mind right now. So just
Yeah.
be like, yeah, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, the reason I'm consulting you guys out of character is that Miraz would not consult any of you in character.
Yes.
No, right.
Yeah, indeed.
But I'm giving you my opinion from the point of view of my character.
Yeah,
Fair
and
enough.
I'm giving you the opinion from the point of view of my character too, which is I don't know what's going on anyway, so it's fine.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Uh-huh. Okay. I think Miraz would just go, ah, yes, Begum Bushandara. Honestly, the first time you brought it up, I exercised some caution because, well, I wanted to get a feel for both you and whoever, well, I didn't even know about Mr. Peter Samhorse at the time. But now I feel like, not trust, but I feel like we understand the sort of, we understand each other, and I understand your client / employer. Please do not you don't have to tell me which one he is, haha, of course. But yes, now I believe that we have far more important things to deal with than just some sort of like jumped up progress for the sake of progress person. I mean, of course, we have to have like new developments. Udaput needs to be redeveloped and so on, but like she has such awful taste. It's just pointless. I feel like the way we should be moving, Brother Hardil, is that we should find some way of replacing her influence over my father-in-law, putting me forward, and through me we could start to see what influences, other influences we can have over the project. And I don't know, I do feel like a real forward-thinking man like Mr. Peter Samhorse would be far more in the end ideal to be backing this project than, well, Lord Ashcroft. But that is one could say, the pie in the sky dream. But I believe replacing Begum Bushinder with myself, that's a much more achievable goal for now.
And I think he says, it is such a joy to work with. And then like this is like as the golem like really like irons out some like particularly terrible knot, and he's like reacting, and he says, such a joy to work with such competent and like-minded people. I should not be surprised at all, of course. The foundation is Fuzia has very good taste, and you are the epitome of that taste. Let me take care of your issue with the Begum. It will be my pleasure and my honor to do so. I may require some assistance in some other matters, but what are such things between foundation members?
This is a proper partnership, of course, and especially if the ultimate goal is related to the development of Uduasha and the furtherance and the creation of jobs, etc., etc.
Yes, indeed. And I think he says, in therefore the spirit of complete cooperation, I think you must have guessed, Miraz, that my associate's name, Mr. Peter Samhorse, is just a cover. It is, of course, not his true name. But you may refer to him by the name that, of course, all of us do, which is Saul Tudor.
What? Saul Tudor?
Yeah, Saul Tudor.
Ah, yes, Saul Tudor. This is, I believe there's yes. He was going to say something, but then, he's being discreet, so he just kind of taps his nose. He has decided this is obviously a member of the White Cliff Tudors, who are known for salt mining.
Yeah, that's absolutely it.
Mhm.
And he says, I will discuss this with Saul post haste, as soon as, in fact, a return from our meeting back to my office. And you can rest assured, Lord Ashcroft's airship enterprise, a great and truly far-sighted idea, I think, is too powerful to be left in such hands as he and the Begum. I think we will end up being a far safer pair of hands.
Indeed. As far as I'm aware, he is not even using magnet technology.
And he heard you talk about magnet technology, right? And he says, oh, yes. He's convinced that some kind of electro steam is the solution, but it is very crude. It is completely unnecessary. With you on the job, Miraz. In fact, why don't you start coming up with some prototypes? No need to put that off. Of course, it is imminent that we will take charge.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I'm definitely gonna show him my new boots soon.
Mhm.
Indeed. That's great, because he would love to see them. It would be so good for him to see them.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
So I think Miraz has a nice massage, and he's like really happy because he's played like 5D chess successfully. Like, he's such a schemer, and he returns to the temple.
I want to add in the background just one more thing as you leave the scene, because this popped up into my head of Fauzi Ansarek going like, what if we put magnets in the massage golems?
Yes, absolutely.
They're going to be magnetic electric massage golems soon.
Massage golems, yeah. I don't, have they not realized yet in Duskwall, and maybe it's not even true, maybe they live in a different physics, but the fact that electricity and magnetism are the same thing?
Yeah, well,
Yes.
there's no such thing. There's electroplasm that fuels ghosts, but there's no ghost
Yeah, they don't have-
magnets as far as I know. So
Oh my
mean-
god.
In real life, it took us a long time to, I think, realize the potential of magnets.
Yeah, so Miraz is ahead of the curve. But also, I'm just going to write down ghost magnets in my GM notes.
yes,
Yes, we must be able to.
yes.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And by ghost magnets, we do not mean objects that will draw or repel ghosts. No.
No.
We mean magnets powered by ghosts.
Yes.
But mind you, I do have a ghost magnet ability.
Ah, yeah,
In-
yeah.
in-
Yeah, you do. You do.
So
Maybe I'll take this.
in this universe, magnets don't necessarily attract iron; they attract gold and silver because they're powered by the ghost's greed.
Incredible.
I
Wow.
like the idea of a repulsive ghost magnet just being like a piece of metal with a ghost inside and going,
Yeah.
"Be gone! Leave this place!"
Yeah. Yeah.
Excellent.
Miraz rushes back into the temple and is like really excited. He's heading towards his workshop and he's got like two little magnets, like kids magnets, like they're like little magnet toys, and he's like, they do not come together at all. Fascinating, amazing. And he wants to get started on his magnet boots immediately, but I suppose he meets someone on the way before he can get to do that.
Yeah, I think. He will probably meet Vickers. I think
Yeah.
Vickers kind of needs to have a chat with everyone.
Mhm.
And I think she hasn't quite processed what has happened yet, but she is, actually quite taken by everything that's gone on, as evidenced by her conversations with Abbas and Joan, right? So she, I suppose she comes after you into the lab, and she says, "Miraz, dear, did everything go all right with? I understood you took Joan out to speak of what happened."
Yes, it was perfectly fine. We had some lovely kebabs and we had a great conversation about magnetic trains. She's so very knowledgeable.
Yes, she is. I do find myself. I think I talked all over her. I ought to have asked her better what to do to defend ourselves against. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Well, if we installed a giant magnet that could draw in all the weapons that people might bring in.
Miraz, darling, just this morning your father was. All right, I see how it is. You've got one of your ideas again.
Oh wait, no. What's my father? What's up? And suddenly he's forgotten
Yeah.
all about magnets.
Yeah.
No,
Well,
but like this
what's-
morning was the. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
go on.
Yeah. Yes. Well, what's up is that this morning he was assaulted by some sort of farmers from outside the city who are here to. Apparently, they're enemies of the Chakrabortis, and now I've got them in prison. And Abbas is the Viper, and I don't understand what's going on.
Yeah, Miraz has completely forgotten that was just this morning because it feels like a lifetime ago. Now it's like he went out for a massage. He got into a criminal conspiracy.
Yeah.
Yes. I should go
Well, it's
see
just.
my father.
Yes, you should, but nobody's explained anything to me, Miraz. What is going on? Who are these people? Why aren't you?
Oh.
And she's visibly welling up, like she is
Yeah,
actually
I think
starting to cry.
I think I go up to her and I give her a hug and say, "My dear, please. The thing is, and I don't know if you can draw any comfort from this. I have no idea what's going on, and I usually don't. And it's worked out fine.
I wish I could have your faith in it, but someone's assaulted us in our home. I don't.
Yes. I mean, I suppose this would get. I know we have the principle of hospitality, and it's only the decent thing to do, but we've been so caught up with these refugees and so on. I told you that there's all sorts of drug problems and petty crime happening over there, and it's a gang war. It's just a gang war. We tried to help the Scotlanders, and this rival gang didn't like it, and I think that's really it. Just doesn't run any more complicated than that. And I hope that now that we have it seems that we knocked out their leadership, and it really goes to show how incompetent the Scotlanders are if we can destroy their problem in like a matter of half an hour. But anyway,
It's not just a gang war, Miraz. This one involves you in the cave when you got. I can't afford to lose you.
no. I mean, that was just a headache.
Yes, I suppose it was. He says, brushing some imagined lint off of your the suit.
Though I must admit, I don't fully remember everything that happened, but suppose that's quite normal. It was such. We were in the lair of forgotten god, and I think I remember ghosts as well. I mean, you can't. You understand. It can't confuse you that I've lost some time in my head.
No, you did get hit pretty hard. I wish you'd look after yourself better sometimes. And you just, this all happened, and you just rushed away without talking to anyone, and now you're back in the laboratory like nothing happened.
And I kind of like hold Vickers' hand and say, it's not that I don't want to talk about what happened. It's more that I don't know what there is to talk about. I don't remember what happened in the cave. I'm having headaches as well. I don't really understand why. Many things right now are confusing to me. And in the laboratory, I understand what's going on. I understand what's happening. Things proceed according to scientific rationalism. And everything outside the laboratory is odd and bizarre. But that's just how life has been for me. For almost my entire life, I have not understood most of what goes on around me, especially in this city. So strange and confusing. And I have been fine. I have not understood everything as well as I should. I've made mistakes, but I have managed to get to where I am now. And I'm happy with that. And I'm confident that if I go into the laboratory and I keep working and I stick to what I know, things will be fine as well.
I certainly hope they will. Although you might not understand what's going on, and you might have been fine, but there are people around you too. You know that.
I understand. I have been selfish in this respect. I forget sometimes about it. I realize that probably the only reason I got out of that cave in one piece is because of you. And maybe Joan and Uncle Abbas helped as well, but I am sure it was mostly you. And this can't be easy for you. There is something I want to do in the lab, but it can wait. If you want to talk, I can talk, and I should go see my father. I genuinely did not remember that all these things happened just today. It felt like a month ago. And I don't know if that was just me being how I am, or if I lost time again. And he blinks a bit.
Yeah. I do worry about you a little bit ever since that incident. But anyway, I think she says anyway, and then she sighs, and then she will kiss you, and then we fade to black probably. It's just
Yeah.
I'll
she
talk to my
just
dad
needs-
later.
Yeah, she just needs some comforting right now. Because Vickers is genuinely upset by all this, and she could hide it around Abbas and Joan, kinda, but
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, your husband is like
Yeah.
meant to be the person that you can you don't have to be
Yeah.
anyone except yourself around. Ideally,
Mhm.
I don't know. I've never had a husband. I don't intend to start anytime soon. But you know, that's what I hear.
I've heard they're great. I've never heard of anyone complain about their husband before.
Yes.
exactly.
I haven't either.
I have only ever heard good things about marriage.
Aadiyat is a
Yes.
completely unbiased observer about this
Yes.
subject. Absolutely.
Yes,
Correct. Yeah,
indeed.
and so is Prince.
Mm.
Oh,
Indeed.
he's not a husband yet.
Anyway,
No, he's
Mhm.
yeah. Sorry, go on. Yeah,
Anyway.
Prince is trying saying indeed a bunch of times. Actually, at some point I was like, I want to see if I can keep talking over him, which is a terrible impulse. So I will stop. Yeah, I do think that whenever we come back, I think Padmapriya is looking for both Abbas and Miraz. And the reason that she's looking for them definitely has to do with Zajjidan. So like once you're all back, she's going to try and
Yeah.
find you and
maybe
grab
we
you
have
with some
Abbas,
chai.
Miraz, and Zajjidan in one scene, so they can both hash things out with him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yes.
So I think Padmapriya finds you and says, Abbas, Miraz,
Yeah.
you must come speak to Zajjidan. He's threatening to do something quite drastic and not at all something that he's not young enough to do. Yet
I hear this and I just run.
no, wait, it's not. And then she looks at Abbas and says, "It's not urgent because Padmabukhi is still with him, but maybe some haste would not be out of order."
Oh, okay. I mean, I must say, like, not urgent, but something he shouldn't be doing. Like, what? Trying to, like, climb onto the roof or something, like we used to do.
Much worse. He's in the Sanctum Sanctorum with Padmamukhi. And I think as you rush in, you see Padmamukhi and Zajjidan having a very heated conversation.
Oh no,
No,
I
go
think
on.
Abbas gets there first because I get lost.
Oh no.
Okay.
Well, okay.
I get-
If you
So,
insist.
so Abbas shows up first, and then I kind of so many passages. All look the same. What's going on?
Yeah. And you see Padmamukhi and Zajjidan having quite a heated argument, which is very startling because I don't think that either. Well, no, Padmamukhi has no problem raising her voice, but she tends not to again, like with Zajjidan, and Zajjidan tends not to raise his voice. Period. Right. But they are definitely like having quite a loud conversation with each other, and I think it is something like Padmamukhi saying, "You are too old man. You cannot do this." And then Zajjidan saying, "I was the head priest of this temple, and the avatar of this temple has disappeared. And the reason that this morning occurred was, we will bring him. I will bring him." And then, like, that kind of thing. And I think you gather very quickly that he intends to do some kind of ritual, something to bring the Eternal One back, because even though to you and like even Abbas, like the Eternal One's been somewhat less always correct. I forget what the word for that is now.
Infallible.
For Zajjidan, infallible. Yeah. For Zajjidan, like the snake has been like the pillar of the temple, right? And I think like when the snake shunned you, he kept his mouth shut because he told himself, "My son is the head priest. Everybody's got to go through trials, whatever." But with this, I think he's decided, and he's shaken up as well. But he's also thinking about the fact that, like, his son and his daughter-in-law, his cousin Joan, Padmapriya, Padmamukhi, Abbas, all of them could have like died. You're very lucky that like Johannes is not here yet. Only Maud is here because Johannes was hurt very badly. I expect them to like make an entrance sometime in this downtime. But that is what is happening.
Mhm.
I think, Abbas is like, Bhaiya, please, what are you doing? Like, you're not well. You should be resting. Look, I know this has been a hard time for everyone in the temple, but let's keep cool heads here.
Abbas, listen. I don't need all this right now from you, okay? I know what to be doing. Oh, Miraz is also here.
What's happening?
Yeah. Nothing you need to worry about. Nothing any of you needs to worry about. I am perfectly capable of doing this on my own. I took care of this temple 50 years, and I dare any of you to tell me
But
that I
what's
can't do
happening?
it.
But what is it?
And I think that this is probably the first like overt disapproval that you have faced, Miraz, from your father regarding the temple. And I think he looks at you and says, "Miraz, little snakelet, I think we must accept that your stewardship has not gone as smoothly as we would like. And sometimes it is perfectly acceptable to admit when one is out of one's depth and let someone more experienced handle it. And I know that the Eternal One has left the temple. I have no doubt that this morning was a consequence of that. And so I will rectify it
Oh,
because that is what is necessary, and you have not done it yet."
I mean, I've been saying, Father, that I don't know what I'm doing. Do you want to be the head priest again?
I think he looks at you and he says, the fact that you didn't know what you were doing was not a problem, but the Eternal One posed a trial. The Eternal One who recommended that you be made the head priest has now disappeared. I have no doubt that if you had just put your mind to it, you could have brought him back. You did not, for reasons that escape me. And so I will do it. And once the Eternal One has returned, once it is once more in the Sanctum Sanctorum, all will return. And then you can continue.
Okay, yeah, like you said yourself, we need to be aware of when we're out of our depth. And like, look, I don't know how to say it. Like, you're not young anymore. Like you said, you have served this temple for 50 years, and you have done your time. You have done your time serving. Just there's no need to do anything more.
But maybe Father is right, and you can see Miraz is like, oh my god, I get to stop being the priest. That's amazing. Yes, okay. And it's like, I mean, how hard can it be? He takes out his chessboard, he plays some chess, he drinks some tea, he does some, I don't know, he chants some mantras every now and then, and eventually the snake comes back. Sounds pretty relaxing. This is what Miraz thinks that the ritual involves.
Indeed. Tree is BRBing for 1 second, so let's
Okay.
Let's wait.
Then we should wait.
Here.
Okay.
Emma, while this is going on, are you okay with Vickers grabbing Joan, because we have she has a plan for
Yes.
preventing the revenge spiral? Good. Just checking so we can have that be the next scene.
Uh-huh.
Sorry, I have returned. I just was called away for a second. I think as you say this, Padmamukhi kind of snorts audibly and says, your boy does not know. No, sorry, she's Padmamukhi, sorry. She says, your boy doesn't know how to run this temple, Zajjidan, which I've been telling you, and you didn't want to listen, but he really thinks, Miraz, your father is not going to merely sit down and chant and ring a bell and... No, he's going to do a blood ritual. He is going to shed his skin so that the snake might take it and return.
Oh.
Now, this is a ritual that nobody has done.
Father, what the fuck is wrong with you? What are you talking about? Look at you.
Yeah, Bhaiya, what the fuck is wrong with you?
And I think Padmamukhi looks at Zajjidan and says, even Miraz sees you're stupid.
Father, you can barely crack an egg on your own now.
And I think Zajjidan says, yes, I can't crack an egg. I get up in the morning, I can't do my exercises. And today, someone held me at sword point and threatened to murder me. I couldn't do anything about it. But you know what I can do something about? I can bring our god back to this temple. And that is what I'm going to do.
Okay.
You couldn't do anything you couldn't do anything about it, yes, because you're old now. It's fine. Like, we did something about it. The people who attacked our temple, they failed. You don't need to do this anymore.
Yes,
They didn't
Uncle
fail.
Abbas is right for a change.
Wow, I can't resist the sniping even. Yeah, cool.
No need for that.
This is how family dynamics go. It's fine. As Zajjidan says, they didn't fail. They broke into our temple. They did all of us grievous harm.
I'm fine.
am very... You are not fine, Miraz. You are not fine. Abbas is not fine. I am not fine. And from what I hear, Cousin Joan may have eaten a part of somebody. Now, and when he says this, I think you can see Padmapriya just kind of look away. I definitely wasn't the person who told him that, but she definitely was. And he says, that is not fine. that is the opposite of fine. That is a problem. And I will fix it. Because it doesn't matter how old I am. I know what I am capable of.
Can't we? How about you do a blood ritual with my blood? I have more of it.
You do not even want to be the head priest, Miraz. The snake will not. The Eternal One, His Majesty, will not accept a sacrifice from one who does not know what he is doing.
Oh, then I suppose you can use Akalabas.
I feel like Abbas should respond to Miraz throwing him under the bus.
What am I throwing him? I'm happy to do it myself, but apparently I don't believe in the snake enough. Ooh.
So I assume what I missed was Miraz is suggesting that Abbas shed his skin for the snake.
I was going to do it myself, but apparently
Right.
I don't believe in the snake hard enough. So the only person here who believes in the snake really hard and still apparently has youthful vigor is you.
I don't know about believing in the snake. I mean, I believe that it's there, but I disagree with it, and I'm trying to undermine its authority. So
I don't think he knows about that bit.
okay.
Neither do
Yeah,
I.
he doesn't.
Neither do I.
Okay, in that case, I go. I'm not feeling very well right now. I don't think I have enough vigor to do this. Let's look. Just come out. Just come up here. You know, like we will find someone with youthful vigor, devotee for the temple. We'll take care of it later. Like you.
Speaking of
We
youthful
will.
vigor and believing in the snake, is this when Vickers runs in?
No, Vickers
It's
is not in
possible.
this. Sorry. Or was she? Vickers' plan was
I don't think
to
so.
hang out with Joan.
Oh, okay, I thought you. Okay, you guys are doing
No.
something very different. Okay.
Yeah,
Sure.
we are doing something very different. Yes.
So we're going
it
to
was-
have this awkward conversation ourselves. Excellent.
Mhm.
The
I
men
don't
will
know.
have to have the feelings without the women helping them.
Fair enough. Okay, so Miraz is obviously conflicted in a few ways. He never wanted this job at all, and if the cup passes out of his hands, that's all for the better. But clearly, he doesn't want his dad shedding his skin, whatever the hell that means.
Right in front of us too.
And is there some way Abbas and I can? I think Abbas and I tried to convince him. How about we
Okay.
roll a sway, like a group sway?
I think
we can do
the
that.
role here-
But I also thought that if at some point Abbas, is going to lose his patience and just carry Zajjidan off.
Yeah, he cannot actually physically resist you. You are not wrong.
Yeah, he's a weak old man, and I'm going to take him away. But let's see what he has to say too. Like because what's
Yeah.
Zajjidan's response to us saying, don't do this now. Like let's just think about this. We'll come back to this later.
Yeah, I think you should roll.
Mm.
I think the reality is that, like, at this point, he is, both very shaken up from the morning, and also now, even if, like, you fail miserably at this role, it's not like, yes, and I am now going to flay myself alive. It will still be the case that, like, what he will do is he'll be like, no, I'm going to stay here until I'm fine, whatever, right?
Okay.
So, to that extent, you're actually probably in a controlled position, but
Okay.
if you want to meaningfully change his mind about this, then yeah, like let's say controlled. I think you're controlled limited. I don't think you can go all the way to this is not necessary. I think you could get to you need to listen to the fact that all of us think this is a bad idea.
Yeah.
Mm.
Okay. I'm going to say, listen, Baba, I don't want to pull this card on you, but all I have to do is go tell Vickers that you're going to flay yourself alive or something, and you'll see what happens.
Risky standard.
Compelling argument.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, like think about what Abba would say about this. What would Abba say if she could see you now? Like,
Are you
You're-
fucking kidding me?
Oh god. Oh, that's a 5. And I think I'm leading this group action. It is a group action, right?
Yeah.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay.
I mean, nothing like appealing to paternal authority.
I think the risk here. Let me think for 1 second. I'm sorry, I am mining my own family trauma for this. And I'm trying to think, what would the people that I'm imagining. I mean, I've been in a dozen of these conversations.
I feel like a good risky consequence is just that he's going to be very, very annoyed at us and he's going to ignore us for a while.
Yeah, I think that's basically it. I think he will turn around, he will say to you first, your wife is not my mother. And then he's going to turn and look at Abbas and say,
I mean, it'd be so strange if she was.
You don't get to speak about Abba. And then we'll turn around, look at Padmapriya and Padmamukhi and say, I don't even know what to say to you. And then he'll storm off in a semblance of like, I'm in charge and I'm in control, even though actually he got pretty roundly humiliated.
Okay.
But like, in this case, the round humiliation means that he's even less likely to like change his mind, but he does accept that actually, you know, he has taken some more psychic damage in one sense.
Okay. First things first. And Miraz is going to run out and is going to spend one of his coin and is going to change the locks of the Sanctum Sanctorum, and I'm going to finish this arcane words clock.
Amazing. Incredible. Wow. Okay.
Well, there's the 6 I was looking for when it was just one tick away.
Oh, 2 dice. And you get 3 ticks. So,
but it was one tick away, so
I feel like if
that's fine. It's
if
done.
you can, yeah, okay. If you give me a fictional reason for like putting the other 2 ticks somewhere, yeah, sure. But I don't think in
the
this
other
case.
I think the other 2 ticks should go to the Chakraborty's favor, because I think Miraz is stepping up to be the head priest now. He actually, like, in a roundabout way, his father was like, no, I'm the head priest. And then Miraz went and took responsibility. I think that's actually something His Majesty would approve of in a roundabout way.
In a roundabout way, yeah. Sure.
I took a lot of responsibility fueled by my desire to give up my responsibility. Now that's roleplay.
Exactly.
Now that's what I call role-playing.
Yes, I think 2 ticks to the Chakraborty's favor makes perfect sense, because this is the kind of irony the snake just fucking loves, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. I did that.
Okay.
Excellent.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah. I have a scene that's going to be a downtime action, and what I'm going to do, Joan, is that I'm going to go bring you to talk to Mona. And
Amazing.
Mona is the woman who I saved and whose face you bit a part of.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm
do
going
remember
to.
that.
We'll see how it goes, but yeah, I'm going to go visit her. Probably, I think, I will ask Joan along, but I don't think it'll be the case that both of us will be in the room when she wakes up. I think Vickers will like start the conversation.
Fab.
Just to smooth her into it a little bit, because I imagine if she just wakes up and looks straight into Joan's face, she might have a reaction.
I mean, she's going to have a reaction even to your face.
Yes.
But Joan's face would definitely be worse.
She didn't actually see my face. I didn't actually run out on the balcony. I just threw stuff.
Yeah.
But I did save her life, and she probably saw me at that point. And she, I heard something about the Viper from one of them. So anyway, I will come into her sick bed. How badly maimed is her face, actually? Like, where was she bitten?
I mean, it was pretty bad.
Yeah. So basically, we don't know,
like,
I guess. She's mostly, like, bandaged up, I guess.
Yeah. And, like, she's very likely to be permanently, like, disfigured in some way.
Yeah. It's monster
in some lines of work. Yeah. In some lines of work, including her previous line of work, that would make her like cooler and more threatening.
Mm-hmm.
Whether she returns to that line of work remains to be seen.
Yes. Anyway, Vickers steps in and just says, like, well, I heard Amitabh has done what he can. I don't know how you feel, but from what I hear from him, you're going to live and make a full recovery, more or less.
I
And
think
she looks kind of coolly at Mona.
Mona, you can make out like, so she's heavily bandaged, but you can see her eyes, right? Like, so her eyes like
Yeah.
look very steely.
And I want her to be
Oh,
able to
now I
speak,
gotta-
otherwise there's no point to the scene.
Yes, that is true. I was just thinking, is it the case that Mona has sign language? And maybe she does, but it would be very funny for me to say, you know what, let's do it. I think Mona does have sign language,
Okay.
as does the person who is looking after her. So you will have a translator, and she can
Alright.
hear you just fine,
Sure.
right? So it's just like her talking to you. And
Yeah.
luckily for her hands are fine. It was just her face that was beaten off,
Yeah.
right?
Uh-huh.
And you
So-
don't need a translator for the first sign that she makes, which is that she's going to flip you the bird.
Yeah. Vickers says like, oh, believe me, I understand. So, here is the situation. I didn't have to save you back there. In fact, I thought it might be a mercy not to. Your face is one matter, but someone very dear to you was lost. I understand that. I'm not here to ask for your forgiveness, but I am here to make sure you don't do anything foolish out of it, because I know in your situation I would. I think there is that, like, Vickers absolutely would in this
Yeah.
situation.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And she kind of like strides forward towards the bed. And how does she respond?
I think she's not actually physically strong enough at the moment because she's also like very tired and all this stuff. So she's not gonna like be able to do very much more than like just like tilt her neck away and then like look back and then just say, "What the fuck do you want?"
Yeah. What I want is to avoid vengeance, or if it must be done, then it must be done. If you really cannot back down, I will not have this whole situation spiral out of control and hurt people worse. Joan, if you don't mind, and I think this is where I will call Joan into the room, who is the person that she saw shoot
Yes.
Aadiyat the lion dead.
I'm going to roll her resolve, which is 2d6 because the rising moon was two Tietl.
Yeah, sure. We'll see what happens.
She rolled a 1 and a 3, so she's fucking terrified of Joan.
I mean,
and I think
understandable.
Yeah.
yes, exactly. Yeah. So I think as soon as Joan comes into the room, her eyes go wild. She kind of like shrinks back into the bed, and the nurse who has been translating for her so far says, "What is the meaning of this, ma'am? My patient is she's not in a good way, and she is not responding well to, hey, everything is fine. You are perfectly safe here. I'm not going to let anything happen to you." And like, she's just like trying to like, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, Mona's fucking terrified.
Yeah. And Vickers will look at her and look at Joan. And I think there is a look in Vickers' eyes as she looks at Joan to, just kind of read your face. Like, how do you feel about all this in this moment, Joan?
Joan is also terrified of Joan.
Yeah. Good answer. So what sort of expression do you have as you see this reaction? Just out of curiosity.
Probably sadness, honestly.
Yeah. And Vickers will turn to the nurse and say, well, sometimes you must confront things to settle them. I believe that's a principle in modern psychology somewhere. Miraz has talked about it. It's she looks a bit sheepish because I'm sure Miraz knows modern psychology too, and
Sure. But I think
Exposure
this
to
nurse,
all modern subjects.
Yes.
yeah. But I think I've just decided that this nurse is actually for some reason also very well versed in modern psychology.
Yeah, okay.
We'll start some comments. So I think like they will just say exposure therapy is meant to happen when the subject knows that it's going to happen. B, not happen immediately after the trauma, but perhaps more importantly, C, not happen when the patient is still recovering from having her face bitten off.
Yes, well.
Out.
Yeah, I think actually Vickers will respond to this. She'll step up and she'll stare down the nurse as she does. And she says, I recognize this is hardly the ideal scenario, but I wish to avoid any further bloodshed. That is my first priority at the moment. And that is actually the truth here, right? This is
No, that is true. Yeah.
This is not about Mona having a good time. This is about Mona not freaking out and killing people.
Yeah,
This
okay.
is the...
So let's say I think you should roll here. And I think the roll is about whether or not this nurse is going to call security on you.
Mhm.
I don't know if this is the appropriate moment for it, but I do want to remind people about the second part of this ability.
Your deity will assist one action. Yeah, sure. I haven't indulged my vice
interesting.
yet this downtime, though, so I can't use it, actually. Well, I guess I can use it from last time I did. That's true.
Yeah, exactly.
We
Yeah,
had the ability. All right, what's my position and effect?
I think this is, let's say it's risky because the security will turn up, but they're not going to turn up immediately, like bash your face in. They're going to turn up and be like, "Ma'am, please make your way outside.
Sure.
Don't cause a scene," that kind of thing.
But standard, because I
Risk-
can get a moment for Joan to actually talk to this person.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Sure.
I think I will assist here.
Okay.
Mhm.
Fair enough. Then we'll solve
And
it that
I
way.
think it's the palpable sadness and distress
Yeah.
that Joe is feeling as well that might make her seem a little less threatening and also
Yeah.
be very stressful for her.
Makes sense. So I roll a 5. So
5, 4, 4, 3. Yeah.
I think a good consequence here then is that while it would be cool for us both to be in the scene, I feel like a reasonable consequence is that Vickers has to go talk to security to give Joan a moment with Mona. So like
Yeah,
I
I
can't
think what happens is you see these two burly bodyguards, a man and a woman, turn up. Like in
And-
response, in fact, it's not even like that the nurses had to call for them. It's
Yeah.
like when there's so much yelling, someone will turn up.
and I'm going to
So-
talk to them. I think, I'll be busy and I probably won't be able to help Joan very much, but I will talk to them.
Mhm. Yeah.
And I have an angle here, but I still kind of want to be part of the scene.
Yeah,
But
I
it
think.
makes sense that I'm distracted for now.
Yeah, I think what will happen is that the security comes in and like you are talking to them, but in fact the nurse doesn't want to like leave the patient so that she can also talk to security.
Mhm.
So as a result, there's this like tension where you don't want to leave,
Actually,
but
Yeah,
and
actually,
neither,
screw it.
yeah. So,
I will resist this consequence, actually.
okay, sure, yeah.
I realize, because I think I want to be here to
Okay, fair, yeah.
help out. I crit.
3, 5, 6, 6. This is somehow stress-free. Oh, I know
Okay.
what this is. One of them is fan of yours.
Yeah, that makes sense. So I have a chat with them and I convince them otherwise, and then I'm still in the scene. Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
yeah. It's like she just looks at you and says, "Oh my God, the Angel of Death, amazing!" And then like says, "I'm sure it's just a misunderstanding."
Yeah.
And just like
Uh-huh. Yeah, and I will point out, Vickers didn't prepare Mona for this, but I think she prepared Joan for it, just like,
yeah.
I mean, that was what our conversation was about, essentially, right? We need to avoid the
Yeah.
revenge spiral. So,
Yeah.
this is Vickers' proposal to do just that.
Makes sense.
So what does Joan
So yeah,
have to do?
what do you think? Absolutely.
Joan pulls a rickety chair from the side, from like where it's standing against the wall, sits down. So, I suppose you're not too happy to see me. And I suppose that you feel that I am some sort of monster, that I did a terrible thing to you. Now, maybe this doesn't help. And maybe your heart is close to it, but when we came here, we walked past the closed room where some of our relatives were having an argument. And it's very clear they're feeling all the same things. And I do think Vickers is right. And that's the end. We can go ahead.
I think she looks terrified, and she's trying to muster both some courage and some anger, but like she's failing. But the nurse who has like failed also at making sure you don't, rile her up, is reluctantly translating for her. And I think Mona says, you were working, what you did won't just harm us. It won't just harm me and the people I loved.
What we did, defending ourselves.
You were acting. Oh man, this is so funny because I think that it's possible she's just going to tell you. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so. Like what? Yeah,
Ah, makes sense.
yeah. Yeah, I think she says, "Don't pretend like you don't know. You are working for Munna. Everybody knows it. We had to get to you before you."
Do you think I'm particularly good at pretending?
And I think the nurse interjects here because it's clear that like the two of them have some kind of rapport. So this isn't something that Mona says, but I think the nurse says, "You do a pretty good job of pretending you're not a monster."
Just translate, please.
Yeah, and I think Mona also just grabs the nurse's hand as if to be like, "Don't provoke this woman; she will murder you." And I think that I think she says, "I don't know what you know, and I don't know what you think you know." And I do want to make sure here that I don't negate all of Freya's work in figuring out that it was Munna. So I think what she's going to tell you isn't you are working for him, but I think she's going to be like, you were serving his purposes in one way or another, whether you know it or not. Maybe it was a coincidence, but it's what he wanted, and that's why we did what we did, right? So I think she says, they were putting pressure on us. For months, they were trying to get us to work with them, making all kinds of things. Glass, utensils, weapons. And you don't understand. If we hadn't been there, and we're not there anymore, all of us had simply, we're going to wake up in the morning, work, come back to bed, sleep. It's going to be nothing else until we die. We have nowhere else to go. And I think that you can see her, actually there's a tear running down her eyes. And she says, my people have nowhere to go now, and they have no one to protect them.
Well, shit.
Oh.
Hey, I mean,
Yeah,
it
no,
had to happen.
yeah. The well shit is that now we have to take care of these people, don't we? We just gotta put these people in our temple.
No, we don't.
Yeah,
Yes, we do.
Let the invisible hand of the market sort it out.
Hospitality matters to us. Okay, yeah. Joan is having this conversation.
He's
so I
already
guess
in the hospital. We sorted it out. It's fine.
Yes. Yeah.
He's already in the hospital. It's fine.
Yeah. I mean, it's Joan talking. Vickers is definitely starting to think in this direction now. But
Yeah.
I don't think he says anything. She does step forward and she looks more sympathetic to Mona's situation. But what does Joan say? I think that matters more.
Joan turns to Vickers and says, I think I've heard Abbas talk like this.
Oh, damn, yeah, that's true. And Vickers says, "You're quite right. I suppose Abbas has not known a lot of people in that sort of situation. I'm terribly sorry for what happened," Vickers says to Mona. But I recognize it's a harsh world out there, but we will do what we can to make it right. And if you didn't have any place to go, I realize we cannot unmake what has happened, but we will get you a place to go. I think he says quite earnestly.
Yeah, and I think like it is clear that you are being honest.
Mhm. You know what I will do?
I-
I will spend a crew
Uh-huh.
coin here to reduce heat. I think that makes sense as an
Yeah.
outcome of this.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, very
because
fair.
the coin is paying for their medical care, but I think the reducing heat is for whether or not they stay vengeful. You know,
Yeah.
I'm de-escalating the situation.
Yeah. No, that's very good. That makes sense.
So I will roll consort
Uh,
to reduce heat.
yeah, and in fact, I think this will also be like a fortune roll to see how this goes. I don't think there's any risk here.
Mhm.
But you are
Fair.
being quite honest. So
In case it impacts how this goes, do you think Joan is assisting or no?
I think so.
Actually, you know what?
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead and describe your assisting, but maybe you don't have to need to spend a stress because maybe this is where the Chakraborty assists us.
oh,
But please describe what you do, because
She kind of like frowns when Vickers makes a commitment and shakes her head. Too much has been broken. They
Yeah.
cannot come to us anymore. I don't think we would want to. But the larger problem we can think about and we can look at as well. Because that is a problem.
fair point. And I think the reason why the Chakraborty assists here is because hospitality is a principle, but we
Hospitality.
also cannot take them.
Yeah.
I mean, they did attack our temple. Vickers is not
Yeah,
going to take you
absolutely.
into the temple herself.
Yeah.
But hospitality doesn't have to mean they live under our roof. It can mean we help them disappear or something.
yeah.
So I think this is, we knock off 2 heat because I roll a 5.
Nice.
And I guess you can tell
I
me what it
think-
means for her reaction.
Yeah, I think for her, I mean, you did roll a 5. I think if you had failed, she would have like been like, "Fuck yourself, I'm coming for you." And I think she says, "I wouldn't live with you, even if the other choice was dying in a gutter." And
Well
I'm
then.
not going to apologize.
Yeah. Well then, I shall make arrangements so that you will never have to see us again. The feeling is mutual. But at least it will not be in a gutter.
Yeah. And she says, "We did what we thought was right. We paid the price. All of us knew it could happen. We didn't." And I don't think she...
Mhm.
Like, I'm laughing as I say this because I'm talking and not using sign language. But, like, I think it's, like, an interesting thing to note that, like, the way that she's laughing isn't actually preventing her from talking, right?
Yeah.
Because, like,
Mhm.
she's not using her vocal cords.
Yeah.
She says, "I didn't think it would come from some silly temple in Udaipur, but shows what I know."
It does indeed. And Mona, I'm doing you a favor here. I shall pay Amitabh to take care of your wounds and to try his best to give you some safe accommodation far away from us. And if you do come back to the temple, and she leans forwards and she says, there is a reason Joan is not called the Angel of Death.
And I think the nurse says,
Yeah.
"That's quite threatening from the two of you."
Yeah,
Because,
yep.
like Mona's still terrified, right? Like, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just pointing out, you know, in my own
Yeah.
way, I can be scarier. So,
Absolutely, 100%.
yeah, I think
And I
that's it.
think,
I have paid Amitabh a hefty sum of one of our crew coin, but
Mhm.
he will make sure this matter is somewhat smoothed over and that these people
Yes.
will, you know, this is reducing heat for both us and them, essentially. You know, I'm paying for
Yeah, absolutely,
his discreet handling of the situation.
yeah.
So,
And I basically think that like we don't have to like see this conversation, but I do think that the nurse will like as you leave kind of just stop you and make sure that you know.
Yeah.
Like the reason that they did this is that they were under supreme pressure from someone, and you definitely look like you were acting on his behalf. They don't know who Hardel Subramanian is. They're not going to be like, we joined those dots, right?
No, and obviously it's
Um,
worrying to Vickers that like, oh no, we have clearly been manipulated into something. And
It's
you know,
okay. I'm manipulating the right back.
yes, and she thinks back to what
Yeah,
Miraz
indeed.
said about not understanding the city, and how dangerous that is.
Yeah.
But yeah, she will leave alongside Joan, take a deep breath, look at Joan and say, well, I think that went as well as it reasonably could, don't you?
We may have prevented something.
I hope so. Thank you. I know that can't have been easy for you, and
Well, it was a good idea.
yeah, she nods and sighs slowly and like just kind of squeezes your hand in gratitude a moment, and yeah, then I suppose this matter is resolved. As resolved as it's going to get, anyway. But you know, the people who survived the assault will not be dying in a gutter, but we also won't be seeing them again. It's better for us and them that it works out this way.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and actually, I think this is a good moment for us to see that scene where Constable and someone from House of Nixus turn up, right? Unless anyone has any other downtime.
Take
I
up
do
a-
have a downtown action, yeah.
Oh, you do? Okay, then let's do that first. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, you have
let's make it-
calculating. Sorry, I forgot. Yeah.
Let's make it quick. I'll do something.
Newspaper. Extra. Read all about it. I mean, you don't have to do that. I'm just like,
No.
Still got a fair bit of heat if you want to do something with that.
Yeah, I could do
also
that.
true.
That's-
I need to indulge vice, I just realized also. Like, I actually
Ah.
have to do that in downtime. But I'll get back to me. Let's do Abbas first.
Sure.
yeah, let's reduce some heat.
Mm-hmm.
And how to reduce heat except to so what's the nature of the heat right now? It's that
It's that there was a huge fight at our temple, basically.
Yes.
um
That's the nature of the heat.
Mm-hmm. So I think that's why getting the Ketris to disappear gets rid of some of the heat, because then they aren't talking about it. But
The Rakshasas are also a reason that you have heat, because they literally saw you and you murdered somebody.
okay, here's a fun angle for Abbas to throw off heat if you want to use your newspaper, which is certainly a way you could do it, which is to publish articles about like, yeah, the horrible gang violence that has broken out has deep systemic reasons behind it. You know,
technically I don't have the newspaper yet.
Oh yeah, you don't. Yeah, true.
So,
You're still working and setting it up. Then never
Yeah.
mind. Some
No,
other.
but you could, like, so I was also thinking of newspaper, and I was thinking that, like, part of the process of setting up the newspaper is making those contacts and so on, right? And, like, generally we've looked at the project as, like, specific, like, scenes, but you've also been doing other stuff in the background, so there's no reason you
Okay.
couldn't, like, leverage that.
No. I have an idea now. I think you
Okay.
should hang out with your good friend Bilal Mat and have him reduce the heat,
Yes.
because he did say he wanted to
Excellent.
meet you. And
Yeah.
I mean, he's a generally weird dude, but I'm sure that he can help you. You know,
He's a master of the fire. He knows all about raising or lowering heat.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah,
The
I
heat,
think, like,
you see, it's not just abstract. I see around you an aura of flame intensifying.
wait a second,
okay.
have you
I'm not
throwing
sure
some
how-
stuff flying around? Yeah.
I'm not sure
Well,
exactly how he can help, but I think it would be funny if you run into him since he was set up
Bilal,
earlier.
okay, you know what? Like, Klow was joking, but I think what Bilal could do, one of the services he might provide is sort of like, you know, kind of like a therapy. He reduces the internal heat, and so you look more composed. You don't look as suspicious. There you go.
That guy looks too chilled out to have been responsible for a murder last week.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
Yeah. Okay.
Actually, okay, now I have an idea for how this could work out too. If we're just spinning how Bilal's like weird ass magic works, maybe he has some sort of a ritual to throw things into the well, like even abstract things. He can just be like, I cast these rumors into the well and burn them, and that somehow actually works. Like
Oh,
he can burn
incredible.
memories.
yes. This is now canon. 100%.
So Abbas will forget that he did this?
I
No,
don't think
other people
anyone
will.
forgets.
Okay, other people will
Yeah.
forget that. Okay.
Yeah,
I don't
that's the
think that
idea,
it's
right?
forgetting.
Okay.
It's like it's the same thing with the soul and the body, right? Like the thing still exists, but some of its animating spirit, that is what is being deleted. So everybody still knows that like a big fight happened, but they're not all going around and starting going, "Oh my god, a big fight happened." It's more like, "Yeah, a big fight happened."
Yeah, they forget the details of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a sort of reverse Mandela effect. Like, I wasn't there.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So I think it's a consort roll. Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense.
Mhm.
And you can take. Oh, I was gonna say you can take a die for him.
Well,
But it's a 5, a 6, and a 5.
Huh?
Throw
And
on
I
a
was gonna
bonus
say,
dice just in case you crit.
yeah. So the reason I was gonna say you can take a die for him is that then I will remember that he definitely wants to like ask you about the Starfire and wants to know how it can help him, and will press you for details. But we don't have to see that right now. But it will happen.
Roll, just roll
Yeah.
another d6, like slash
Uh,
r d6. If it's a 6, that would be great.
wrong
Forward
slash.
slash.
Forward slash.
Mhm.
And in space.
Okay.
So it's like it's forward slash r space d6.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so I did crit.
The 2.
Okay.
But
Well, we
nonetheless,
still reduce 3 heat. That leaves us with only 1 left after both of our.
that's really good. Yeah. Yeah, and I like the idea that like you are in fact you aren't that. I think you've had this conversation, but he's deep in the well, right? And we just see the scene of him like it's awful to say, but it's a really like the classic Orientalist scene of like some guy in front of a fire going "Ooh," whatever. But like there's definitely something very like profound and profane about what he is doing. And then, you feel lighter, and so does everybody else. So that's nice.
Uh-huh.
Does anyone else have?
Yeah,
Anything?
I should indulge my vice. And now because I
Yes.
recovered a stress, interestingly, I'm at risk of overindulging.
Overindulging. Very good.
So we'll see.
Quickly, bring a friend with you.
Yes.
Who wants to
So-
play Roof Ball with Vickers?
I
Yeah.
would love to play Wolfwall with my wife. It's been a long time.
Yeah, I think that is what we do to reconnect, right?
Oh.
Yeah,
Excellent.
it's one of
Who
those.
looks at you and says, "What is your husband doing here?" But it turns out he's also like really good at Roof Ball, right? So
Yeah. Yeah, I
Excellent.
think this is precisely what has happened, right? Vickers cried on your shoulder. We had a long talk about it, very vulnerable moment. And it's been a couple of days, and Vickers is like, we need to pick up back to normalcy again. We need something else to take our minds off of the awful thing that has happened, even though Miraz is very good at taking his mind off of awful things and just forgetting about them.
Yes.
Yep.
We
But-
tried talking about our problems and crying about them. Now let's address them through sport.
Yeah, exactly. Get some of that off of our mind. And the reason Miraz is here, obviously, is that we both need to take our minds off of things. So he will have his prototype boots on. Like, they don't
Yes.
do anything yet, but you got to test out if they're comfortable and you can move easily in them.
Mhm.
So,
Very good.
the Vickers starts to put him and goes, "Oh, yes, he's trying out some new equipment. I hope you don't terribly mind."
Yes.
And I will roll Indulge Vice. With, let's not make it too long a scene. I do roll a 6. I would have overindulged, except that Miraz is here
so
to
it's
protect me
really
from it
that
because of our
Miraz is
special
here.
ability.
Yeah.
Lovely.
So I think it is the case that both of you work really well together. I think
Yeah.
Numa is like actually quite
Uh-huh.
surprised, but
Yeah.
she's learning not to doubt your taste in roof bowlers because Augustus
Yes.
Khan was also really weirdly good.
Yes.
Oh,
So,
he's
you
there,
know.
isn't he?
Yes.
Yeah,
he
he absolutely
is.
is.
I don't think it has occurred to me at all that Morosim has been remodeled, and I do not recognize him in his
No.
new mustache.
No, of course
Like,
not.
And I
Oh, who is this? Who is this Elysian that you have with you these days?
Yes.
He's quite loud, isn't he?
Yes. I side note love that Augustus Khan has shown up repeatedly throughout our scores, but Miraz
Yeah.
hasn't noticed him before now. That's
mon
incredible.
ami.
Mhm.
Yes, je t'aime. I don't know what I love is beautiful is in Sela aim. I don't know, whatever. Like he's gonna be like very like, oh my god,
Yeah.
you look so beautiful together.
Yes.
Oh yes, of course. And then I speak, I guess, fluent French to him.
Yes.
He doesn't know any French though. Which I guess in this
Yeah.
world is some kind of like Iruvian dialect.
Yes. And I think we'll see Victor turn to Miraz and say, "Oh, he speaks a very rare and exotic dialect."
He speaks the Iruvian, the Shattered Lands equivalent of like Breton.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
indeed. Yeah, absolutely.
Corsican.
Yeah.
There you go.
How exotic.
Excellent.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
Mhm.
now for us to
Excellent.
return to the temple and get arrested.
Yes. Now for us to return to the temple and get arrested. Indeed, but we have.
You have a wonderful time.
Mhm.
Nice.
Okay. Let us
So,
round this
I
off
think-
back at our house.
Yeah, I think that like we see. So you are given no notice of this, right? Constable is certainly not the kind of person who will hire an orphan and warn you, even if she thought that you deserve to be warned, which you don't. But she looks like very faintly annoyed, and the reason that she looks very faintly annoyed is that next to her is like a tall woman with a tattoo on her forehead, and the tattoo is a Hadrathi rune that says a word that is like very tricky to translate into modern Hadrathi and modern Akarosi, but it probably means something like it probably means like some combination of knowledge and skill and wisdom, like some kind of like judgment, whatever, right? And that is because she is also a member of House Annexus, someone high ranking. She isn't the head. That is Adasu, and we've seen him. He walks around with like a custom golem, but he's not gonna come, you know. This is, I've named all of these people quite South Indian names, so I should pick something appropriately South Indian. Aarti. It's nice. She deserves a more complicated name, but she didn't get one because her parents didn't want to give her one. So let's call it Aarti Annexus. Tattoo on her forehead. And I think that as they are walking towards the temple, both Aarti and Constable are tight-lipped. They're not saying a word to each other, but it's clear to the camera that they are both here because they have to be, and they're both, or rather, they're both tolerating the other one because they have to. And House Annexus is the one that gathers all the information. House Annexus is the one that like has people everywhere and like finds things out.
They maintain a secret police, or so everyone says.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a secret if everyone says it, but you know that's part of what everyone says, so it's fine. So yeah, I think they will arrive. I don't think that they have a retinue. Constable definitely doesn't. She doesn't need one, and I think Aarti also doesn't need one. And she is armed. What is a cool weapon for her to have that's not like guns or swords or something like unique?
An Annexus weapon?
Yeah.
Maybe she has one of those punching daggers. What are they called again?
Oh, like a knuckle, like the thing that like
Qatar.
Qatar. Yeah, one of those.
Yes,
Mhm.
that's what
But
she
it'd
has.
be
Correct.
hidden, I think, unless it's ceremonial.
No, I think you're right that like probably what she has it in is that she's got it like, you know, in her robes, and then she can like get it out in a second if she wants. But like, yeah, it would not be normal for her to walk around like with it, like wearing it. But like,
So what we perceive is this woman walking forward, apparently unarmed, and next to her is this other young woman in like a black suit, bowler hat, and an umbrella. So neither of them are armed, as far as anyone can tell. Right.
as far as anyone can tell, I think that like I remember that like Constable wore a bowler hat, and then I probably deleted that from my brain. But
No,
you are
that's
correct. She does.
That's how you know it's an inspector, because they look like Thompson
Yes.
and Thompson.
Oh yes, of course. I completely correct. Okay, great. All inspectors are must have mustaches, whether wax or real. Yeah. So I think that Constable comes to the front gate of the temple, and like there's like a knocker that literally nobody uses because people like walk in. You know, it's a public temple. But she, for some reason, because it is the correct and appropriate thing to do, like bangs the knocker 3 times. And I was going to make a noise, and then I stopped myself because my mic is not equipped to handle it. But she does it 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't open doors.
Yeah.
No,
I think
in fact-
Vickers has been the person receiving guests before, so I think she will be again.
Yeah, I think in fact Aarti will like roll her eyes and be like, "What is wrong with you?" So like as you come out, like you will maybe meet Aarti like in the courtyard, and but Constable refuses to enter because she's gonna serve. But she's about to serve you a warrant.
Yeah.
You know?
Vickers steps up and goes, "Oh, sorry, I wasn't looking at the entrance. Do come in. I'm in the middle of baking. I'll be with you in a moment."
And I mean, Aarti Annexus knows what it means when the ceaseless temple is cooking.
Yes.
So I think she just waves at at Constable, who wrinkles her nose as if to be like, "This is very improper," but will come in.
Yep.
And I think, in fact, she will come straight up to you and hand you the warrant and say, by the order of His Imperial Majesty and the Inspectorate General, Freya and all of her, Freya of no name, and her various associates are hereby under arrest and to be retrieved from wherever they are present.
Oh.
That would be you and your compatriots, yes?
She has spent time around here, yes, but she left some time ago. I believe she was going to Dash Cloister. Because that's looking at this she can actually read because this is Imperial orders.
That's correct.
So,
Yeah.
so she will scan it over.
Yeah. And it's very, like, it's much more proper than, like, 99% of paperwork you've seen. The handwriting is immaculate. Everything is just as it should be.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I think Vickers would just say, last we heard of Freya, she was going in the direction of Ash Cloister. This is hardly a betrayal of Freya because, like, it's the truth, but it also doesn't give anything away. So it's kind of a good compromise. I'm not lying to the law, nor am I handing her over.
Suddenly, a nearby door bangs open, and you hear, "Vickers, look!" And Miraz glides past on boots that have been covered in drift oil.
Yeah.
Like he smoothly slides across the floor, all happy. And then he kind of tries to stop himself as he sees that there's visitors, but he can't stop himself.
Yeah, and he
crosses the entire temple hall and then takes off his shoes and starts like running back to join you.
Miraz, I've really told you not to be a bit more careful with that. Suddenly there's a loud bang from the kitchen.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, and I think Aarti says, "A real madhouse." And she says, "Hello. Is there what is the official address for the head priest? Did we?
I don't know.
I feel like we may have come up with one and then I've forgotten.
Yeah.
There is one, but Miraz doesn't know what it is.
Yes.
Okay.
I think it is his eternity. Because we go
Excellent.
Eternal one and so on.
Eternal one, correct. And I think Aarti does know it. So he will say, "Your eternity. Pleasure to meet you. My name is Aarti Annexus. This is my companion, the Inspector Constable."
All right. And he kind of like tries to put his shoes under his armpit, but like they kind of float away from his armpit, and then he just kind of leaves them hanging in midair, and then he shakes the hand and shakes. "Oh, Inspector?" And he's like, filled with fear now because he just recently got in cahoots with criminals.
Yeah.
Indeed. Yes. and I think Constable says, "Your wife has already attempted to deflect us to no avail. We are here to arrest Freya, the erstwhile Queen of Scotland, or so she called herself, and
You're
all of
perfectly
her."
free to look around.
Vickers says, still reading the warrant very carefully.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, and
that's excellent. I think that Freya. She seems a good girl, but I think she's I think under imperial custody, like she can unlearn some of the naughty lessons that she's had and really make something of her life. But I don't know where she is.
Meanwhile, I'm actually reading the warrant. What is she actually charged for? Like, what's her actual
I
listed
think-
crime?
Yeah, I think that Freya has like a few charges of what I'm going to describe as sedition.
Mhm.
Like conspiracy to defraud the empire of like property. I don't know. These are just words I'm thinking of.
I think also impersonating a member of the Skovlander royal family is an offense.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is very funny. Because nobody wants to do that because they will get killed immediately.
Yeah.
But it is an offense. You're correct. Actually, that's a lie. I actually think now, post everything, the emperor has adopted one figurehead Skovlan royal person into his family, and so
Yeah,
now
that
they have
makes
the
sense.
imperial
So-
family,
Mhm.
which is why it's a crime.
Mhm.
Yes.
And I think that so there's that. There's the
Yeah.
impersonation. There's like a various like violence charges and so on. Because she has been involved with some violence. But I think if you're reading it carefully, you will definitely also read that she is involved with something suitably pretentious. High crime, capital H, capital C.
Mm. Other question: is there anything there about Hardil or Munna?
That is what high crime is referring to, actually.
Mm-hmm.
It is the implication that like the crime is of such scale and depth that like there is no point in like, I mean, Constable has listed out everything, but also let's be real, this guy is like just a real bad guy, and all of his friends deserve to be put in jail. That's what's happening here.
Yeah. So this is actually more of a warrant because this is a lead on Hardil and Munna.
Exactly. So
Yeah,
this is
that's
how
right.
you kind of find out. And I think as you read this, in fact, Aarti will say, first Constable will say, yes, of course I have I do not need your permission to search the premises. That's what the warrant is for. And then Aarti will interrupt her and say, I'm afraid that your compatriot Freya is currently in the hands of a very unsavory individual. And I will be honest, if it had not been for your recent altercation, gunshots in Udaipur, I could never imagine. It would not even have come to my attention, but it seems she was poking around where she should not have been and was captured by an individual known to the public as Munna. And she's like looking at you being like,
Yeah.
you know him, right?
No, never heard of him.
Vickers look. Yeah. Now Vickers look very shocked because captured by some individual named Munna.
Well, why aren't you giving him the warrant?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think Constable will say, the man known as Munna, whose incredible number of aliases are also in the warrant, which you can inspect, has been served with no fewer than 73 official warrants in the last 10 years. And it may not surprise you to know, he has eluded capture at every turn.
Okay, I
He
think
is
I'm
a
going to look
man-
at those aliases.
Yes, indeed.
Yes.
Give me 1 second. I'm gonna roll to see whether Soul Tutor or I was gonna roll for Munna, but I think it's better for me to roll for Charity. Sorry, Constance. So Chastity.
Yes.
No, Constance.
Yes.
3d6. She's an
What?
inspector.
Yeah, what I want to do in the meantime is I want to gather information from the warrant. I want to, because this is so meticulous, I want to find out everything that Constable
Yes,
knows
great
by
idea.
reading the warrant. I imagine it's
Great idea.
difficult, so I think it's an action, but I think it also makes sense
Yeah.
because Vickers was shit at Sparcraft, is not good at most politics, but she does have an education, and this is in a language she can actually read, where she is quite literate, actually. So,
Absolutely. And I rolled a 4 for Constable's information
Uh-huh.
gathering. So I think that there is a name in here that you can recognize, but you will only get it if if Vickers' roll succeeds. Because I think it is not as simple as Peter Samhorse. I think it is something like there's you have to like look through it and you'll be like, oh, okay, wait a second.
mhm.
And then you'll
Very
figure
fair.
it out.
I roll only a 2,
You're the
so I
third.
get limited information, but probably not the connection to Sam Horse.
Yeah, so I think, but you do get some information. And I think the theory here is also that, like, before you can read more, the warrant gets snatched out of your hands because Constable realizes what you're doing and is like, excuse me, you've had your time. But I think what you do find out is that there is an individual called Munna who definitely has various, like, nefarious criminal enterprises and is, Honor 3, connected to a law firm, and the law firm is the law firm that Hardil Subramanian works at. Right? And I think that, like, it is not unknown to the inspectors.
No.
You know, that this guy is the mob lawyer. You know.
Okay.
So Honor 3 also
But
get that.
we just have the connection. So to clarify,
We still have not found out that Freya has been kidnapped by the guy we're working for.
Yeah.
We just know
I mean,
she's
like, you
been
do not
kidnapped
know
by
that
someone
well
who uses
yet.
she has
Yeah.
been kidnapped by someone who uses the same law firm. That's the only connection we have.
I also
you know
want
what?
to flag something.
Could ask him for help, but yeah, so go on.
One thing I want to flag is that Freya's last act as a free woman was to compile a shit ton of information about Munna and send it in an unmarked, package to the temple. And I think the best explanation for why this hasn't been a thing yet is that no one has bothered to look at it yet.
Yeah. I think we haven't read through it yet. I think that it would
Yeah.
be Abbas. It was sent to Abbas specifically because she trusts him.
Yeah, but he's got other things on his mind.
He's got other things in mind, but his
We've been
inbox is
busy.
probably quite full.
Yeah.
So at any moment,
Yeah.
Abbas can open a big package and just be like, "Oh, all the information about Munna, the criminal. How good."
Yeah,
I think it'd be
absolutely.
really funny if he's doing that right now.
yeah.
Meanwhile,
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Abbas is
Yeah.
catching up with his correspondence.
Yeah, so I think that
Abbas is in the temple, right? Like, I mean, he could come in if he so desires.
you could appear right now having just
read it.
read
With
this.
this,
Yeah.
should I though?
Just be like,
Some-
oh, I've heard horrible things. Freya has discovered everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
So is that what happens?
No, but it's just so much more fun for this to continue without.
Abbas turning up.
For
yet.
so let's just have a quick scene where Abbas is in his study. He looks at the letter and then he goes, "I'm too tired for this."
Very good.
Send it
I
out, we'll
love
continue
that,
reading
like,
later.
I love that you sabotage yourselves. So I don't have to do it for you.
One thing that
So I-
happens is that Abbas almost looks at it, and his eyes turn away, and then it's like some more paper kind of like rustles away, and like it's still, and then it becomes prominently framed in front of him, as the god himself is trying to draw his attention towards it.
Yeah.
But he still ignores it.
Yeah.
Yes. On the one hand, the god is trying to draw attention to the information. On the other side hand, there's a monkey outside the window getting up to no good again.
Yes,
much more
absolutely.
interesting.
Yeah, and annoying. I think that Aarti will say, your temple has been of some concern to House Anixis for some time. You have a railjack here with an unusual interest in Chandler golems, do you not?
We have a real Jack. Have you ever heard Cousin Joan talk about golems?
Vickers goes, no, I. she thinks back. Has Joan ever talked about them?
No, but you did ride that big golem, and then Joan went off and traumatized while riding it.
Yeah.
So
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, we have that golem now. Actually, we
Oh yes.
Yeah,
kind
you
of
do.
appropriate.
I don't think Miraz has noticed it yet.
No. So I suppose Vickers goes like, no, well, I know she has one, but I don't
Wait.
know she's talked a lot about it.
She what?
Yes.
When did she get a golem? And I got distracted. And this is my thing now.
Yeah.
When did she get a
Yeah.
golem?
Yes. Vickers goes, oh, well, right after she saw that apprentice from the Chandlers you associate with, because she did. It's nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
But
Oh, where is Shama anyway? I haven't seen her in. Oh, I'm so sorry. Inspector and your
Yeah.
lordship, your ladyship.
you may call me Aarti. I require no other honorific your eternity. And then she says, in any case, we are well aware, or at least I am, and I've had to inform my companion that you acquired the golem shortly after acquiring much material on behalf of one Hardil Subramanian, and it has come to my attention that the Joan the Railjack was of key importance to that operation.
Yeah,
I suppose Vickers goes, oh yes, the business deal with Mr. Murgatroyd. Of course, I shall go fetch her, because, again, we have a legitimate cover for all of this. It was a business deal with Mr. Murgatroyd.
It's just that, like, like these people already know everything, but like they think you also already know everything, so they're not bothering. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's great.
Yes.
Fantastic.
But Vickers would
Please
just
fetch
absolutely. I don't know anything. I'm going to go fetch Joan. We just
Yeah,
conducted normal business operations.
Correct,
I think
correct.
Miraz's problem is that at first he was like, "Oh shit, is Munna Mr. Peter Sam?" Oh no, I don't see the name. That's fine. Wait a minute, Hardil was in. Well, and then, he's like his armpits are like full of sweat. It's like, am I working for Munna or am I not? Who is Munna? What's going on?
Yeah, it's the
I
worst.
shall go fetch Joan. I'm sure she can clear out all of this confusion.
Meanwhile, I look at the two and say, "Can I offer you some tea?" And then he gives like the biggest, like most nervous, shady-looking smile that he thinks is very confident and charming.
And I think Constable will say yes, because she recognizes she is in a temple. You are its head priest, and if you offer hospitality, she should accept. The Anixis knows not to trust any food made in this kitchen.
Miraz runs up to the kitchen. He starts boiling some tea. He burns his hand a little bit. His eyes look longingly at the transfer powder.
Yeah, I will point out that Vickers forgot that she was in the middle of baking, so there is some very, very, very burnt things in here now.
Oh yeah. As soon as I open the kitchen door, smoke comes out into the main temple hall, and then there's the noise of like a fire extinguisher.
Yeah. Yep.
Miraz takes a long time to make the tea, a really, really long time, while he tries to figure out, can I run away? Is that a thing I can do? But anyway, I think probably someone else arrives on the scene before he emerges with the tea eventually.
Yeah, probably Joan, right?
Seems like it.
Does Joan just emerge by herself, or has like Vickers found her? Or is Vickers going to look for Joan, but Joan is already here?
If Vickers is going to look for her, then she should find her.
Okay.
Yeah, I have pretty good Joan finding abilities, so I will return with and I will explain the situation. Like, okay, these people are here. They're the law. They want to. I don't know. They think you know something about that business deal with Mr. Murgatroyd. I don't know. Is the gist of what Vickers tells you, right?
Yeah. So what is it I'm supposed to actually know? She asks them. But
Yeah.
she's at the door. Or I guess where they are waiting for tea now.
Yeah, but I think that Aarti Anixis's information is actually incredibly good. I just rolled for her. So I think she also knows that like you have been to the empty vessel. Sorry, the empty vessel, the House of the Hungry. And as you come in, she immediately laser eye focuses on you and says, yes, Joan. Tell me, how is your stomach? And Constable is like, what the fuck are you asking?
It's a bit upset from, life. But you're right. What is exactly the meaning of this?
My stomach is upset from life.
I mean, it's very true.
Yeah, exactly. The life of the person that you ended by eating them. Indeed.
Yes.
And I think she says, you've been dabbling in things you ought not to be dabbling in. And I'm afraid that we have noticed. And I'm even more afraid that we've noticed that you managed to get some very dangerous things into you. That is something that I'm afraid that House Nixus cannot really ignore. It doesn't help that you have a pair of guns on you.
If you're talking about my electrified blood, that's unfortunately a side effect of the wheelchair profession.
I think you and I both know that that is not what I'm talking about, and I think she's just going to literally rub Constable's nose in it. She's going to say, but I think that we should speak of this in private. What instead Constable and I are here to speak of, and then Constable, who is still jockeying for influence, will like cut her off and say, we're here to speak of your associate, Freya, who appears to have been disappeared by the criminal known as Munna, and is doing his bidding somewhere, putting her, no doubt, incredibly well-honed talents to whatever nefarious purpose Munna has come up with. And
You are here sitting and talking to us.
And I think that she says, I would not be if I had any other choice. And let me tell you, whatever it is I seek to do, which is to bring her to justice, is much less than what Munna is undoubtedly threatening to do to her the second that she puts her foot wrong. He's not a kind man.
I think the kitchen door opens and Miraz emerges with a tray of tea, which he immediately drops and spills.
As he hears this. Yeah.
I was like, but I'm still confused. I don't know Munna. Do you know Munna?
No, I don't. But if this individual is threatening to do something awful to dear Freya, then I must say he does not sound like a gentleman.
Well, I'm sure the inspector here can take care of that, but I don't want to tell you how to do your job, of course, Inspector, but
Then don't.
if something horrible is being done to Freya, who I don't particularly care about either way, but still, it's not very decent. You should go try to find Munna. He's not here.
Well, as I said, you're very free to search the premises.
Neither Freya nor Munna is here, unless he's particularly stealthy and good at disguising himself as a monkey. Vickers is looking around.
Yes, we have nothing to hide. You can't really go looking around yourself. We recently changed all the locks. I can show you around, I suppose. And Miraz clearly doesn't want to be anywhere close to Constable, but also he wants to prove his innocence to her.
Yeah. And I think that's what will happen now.
Yeah, they will look around.
Yeah.
I would like to wrap this up here shortly. So is it possible that we can wrap this up on the view of Abbas? We get searched everything. We go oh, poor Freya, what could have happened to her? And then Abbas opens his letter or finally gets back to it. And
I think that's fine. I think that's what we...
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we cut on. And we can see next session, the finding this out and then deciding you have to do something.
Yeah.
So I think that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, it sets us up for a score.
I want to end on the final shot of Abbas actually opening the letter. How does he react?
I guess it depends on how Freya wrote the letter.
It's just a ton of information about all of Munna's nefarious deals and how we've been being played by this man.
Yeah, I think the cool thing is Abbas first finds out from Vickers or someone, right? That Freya apparently has gotten entangled with some bad man called Munna. That's weird. And then after he is told that, Abbas opens this letter and goes oh shit, she's really looked into this guy.
I think Abbas scans it really, really quick, and he just goes, I fucking knew it. I knew we couldn't trust that man.
Never trust a lawyer. That is the moral of this story.
I love that this is the one time when Abbas swears too. We haven't seen him do it, but I feel like that was actually in character. Like,
Yeah. Mother chod.
And so blows out our brief candle. I named the disciples of the ceaseless temple thus, with both their given names and taken. Soumithri, called Tree. Zoheb, called Klow. Prince, Emma, and Aadiyat, called Soap. Intro music, Jalandhar by Kevin MacLeod. Outro music in Keeravani Ragam by Srinivas. Blades in the Dark by John Harper and Evil Hat Productions. Iruvian playbooks by Johnstone Metzger. Follow us at Desperate Attune on Twitter or email us at desperateattune@gmail.com. Support us at kofi.com/desperateattune.
next time on Desperate Attune. Freya recently revealed to us that she has been investigating a local crime boss known as Munna. Now, I know you were the last person to see her. I don't think you're involved with this person, but if you are, I'm afraid things are going to come to blows between us. So at this moment, since you're the last person to have seen her, you can help us. You're either with us or against us. I would like to know which one, please.
Wow. And I think she says, that bought you another 60 seconds.